Stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to reorganize the agenda a little bit because the first presenter is not going to be here. So I will accommodate the presenters that are here in person. So do we have Merchants Bay project represented at all? No, so let's move down to the fire department. I see the fire department is here. They have an application for parade in. And we have discussed this with the police chief. And as long as I understand and the chief understands, this is more of a procession of vehicles.
Yeah, we're not gonna move too fast because they're all antiques.
Okay.
But, it's our celebration of our fire department's antique, the oldest one, and it's gonna be 100 years old this year. So we're inviting the fire departments with the antique fire apparatus to join us for celebration. Small parade, start up at the high school. We have permission to have it in the parking lot. And then we'll come down Mill Road to Main Street and then make a right down Main Street and then up Sunset to the firehouse. And then we'll park the apparatus in the parking lot behind the firehouse and have a little antique fire apparatus show. And so,
Okay, just how many would you anticipate
I'm
approximately?
thinking maybe 20 apparatus, but kind of tough to tell about who we've done.
Okay, all right. And I think the biggest drawback for Hurdle would be if there were any walking units. And if it's all vehicular, there's no problem. If we have any bands or walking people in the parade, then for safety reasons, we'd have to close all the streets and that would be a tremendous effort.
Yeah, we can help out with fire police from our department and also from other departments. If that's
Okay,
possible.
well, I don't, what I'm angling for is no closure of streets. It's more like a procession. And you could have, the chief has mentioned that we could have a police car as the lead and a police car at the rear. And it's more like a procession through the route and we would not have to close any streets.
And what would prevent people from just kind of cutting into the parade?
I'm sorry?
What would prevent people from trying to cut into the parade or cross the street as we were coming down? Same
Yeah,
road.
it's just basically, now if you're gonna have all your apparatus together, just keep it tight, keep the apparatus tight together, we shouldn't have any issues. As somebody keep points along the way, I'll just have officers standing by there, or like you said, the fire police will be around, just to make sure we keep the continuity of everybody.
Okay, let me know how many fire.
Not a problem.
Okay, does that sound reasonable? Okay, any board members have any comments, questions?
I just want to clarify, so you said there's not gonna be anyone walking, it's just gonna be the.
I don't foresee it unless somebody breaks down.
Oh,
I might be walking because I'll be taking photos. But other than that, I don't see it. No bands. We haven't hired a band. The
okay.
chief is too cheap to hire one. So.
Sounds good, all right.
May I say something on another note? It sort of concerns the fire department, but I'm here as speaking as an individual. The driveway into the parking lot on Mill Road,
Yes.
very steep. I found out with two cars and even the spoilers on two cars, even guys with pickup trucks are bottoming out on it. It's kind of one interesting in the community. This is dangerous because we're coming into the fire. If I almost have to come to a complete stop to be able to go up the ramp. If I do that with somebody coming to a structure fire, I'm going to get rear-ended. But if something could be done about that, it's just the angle is just too steep. If something could be done about that, would be great. And also, I'd like to mention, I'm sure you know this, we have the best highway department in Long Island. The guys do a fantastic job.
Don't say that.
Is it contract time?
No, that we've been aware of that issue ever since we had the Carlotta Beach reconstruction project and the apron was changed out and these kinds of things. And because of the drainage and the crown on Mill Road, we've determined that the only time we're going to be able to resolve that situation is when we have that section of Mill Road resurfaced.
Okay.
Because we have to regrade the whole
Mhm.
section
Okay.
of the street and it's in conjunction with all the drainage that flows down Mill Road, the
Yeah.
rain, you know, heavy rains like tonight, a lot of rain flows down Mill Road and into those drains. So we have to be careful what we do there.
When the time comes, we'd appreciate it though.
Yes, it is on our sites,
Without, yeah,
without a doubt.
promise.
The best DPW department I understand.
We'll give it a $20 later.
Perfect, sounds good, thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, thank you for coming in. So we'll have a resolution at our next meeting approving that, okay?
Rain date is the following, it's the October 4th, rain date is the 5th.
Okay, is that on the application right there?
October 4th.
Yes.
October.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. We did an easy run. Had a noticeable decrease, I think, but I think it's just coincidental.
You gotta turn the hearing aid.
Okay. I think we have a presenter from Hugs for the Lighted Up Purple. We have an application in to put purple lights up for the month of September, correct? So I've forwarded this information to the board so they're aware, but go ahead.
We'll give you anywhere. I mean, and that's the really super cool thing. So what we do, for those of you who don't know, HUGS is a drug and alcohol prevention, suicide prevention, positive mental health organization, and we service all of Suffolk County. But we happen to have our office right here, and this is where I've raised my family. We've worked in partnership with you guys on many different things. I will agree, you know, pretty cool DPW, will agree, pretty cool police department.
Here we go again.
And some of your trustees I'd question, but other than that, but so like we're lighting up the duck purple, the big duck in Flanders will be lit purple all for the month of September to really raise awareness about recovery is possible, right? We hear a lot bad said about addiction, and we don't really talk about the recovery community and how to support them in large ways and reduce the stigma. So all across the country, you are encouraged to do things in your village, in your town, in your county, in little ways and in big ways to use the color purple, whether it's purple lights in your businesses, purple ribbons on your businesses, and to take landmarks and things and light them up. So if you've ever been in Sag Harbor for September over the last 6 years, you'll notice that their historic windmill in in the village is lit up purple. All the blades are lit up purple and an awareness for it. And so originally our question came in, could you light the new windmill up? And that would show consistency. And I know there is a dark skies. I will tell you that Councilwoman Cindy McNamara, who works on the committee with us, did share that she would consider a resolution to let the new windmill go purple up until 10 o'clock, be lit up until 10 o'clock at night as an adaptation to the dark skies. And find a way to still support community organizations and comply. So she did say if you put a resolution up, she most likely can see that resolution through if that was one way you wanted to go.
After receiving your follow-up email about the solar lights, walkway lights,
Right.
that could be used in my mind at the windmill because that's not uplighting.
Mm-hmm.
So that could easily be, you relocated it to the green, we could relocate it back to the windmill, potentially with the board's approval. And complying with the dark skies compliance situation, I think would be best.
Yeah. Our goal is always to raise awareness, find the compromise, work in partnership, and make it super easy for any of our
Right.
partners. So, and that's what we look to do. So if it was I think there's great space because the windmill is new, you know, that is kind of becoming
Right.
a central piece that
Become an attraction.
yeah, that might be a good way to go. I know that we are gonna push for local businesses. Kajori's created a whole packet because there are so many ways that businesses, whether it's a special non-alcoholic drink at their bars that has a lavender color to it, lace mats down, just again we always wanna reduce the amount that people are using and wanna let people know that resources and help are there. So whether this group says the windmill or the gazebo, we would like to have something in our village as a start. I'm not gonna say that I won't come back next last year and asked to go even a step forward and even bigger. But if you check out like the town of Islip, the whole entire town goes purple. From lighting all over the village hall to their town hall to all the local businesses. And this is a trend, this is a growing thing you're seeing happening not only just across Long Island, but across the country. Did I miss anything? No, fantastic. So we do have, we only brought 5 copies because, we were thinking 5 trustees. I forget that this is a work session and they're larger, but each of these is a packet of kind of our why, what we're looking to do, examples of what is happening in other communities, and what hopefully we can consider to happen here.
And you would like this to be happening in September, correct?
Yeah, so we'll start, August 31st kicks off Overdose Awareness Month, which is the Overdose Awareness Day, which then kicks off September 1st through September 30th, Recovery Month. So those are 2. And you'll see a theme throughout, like Sea Hampton Coffee is gonna have specialized mugs, specialized cups that support the initiative. And this does extend beyond Hugs. The town of Southampton, we created a coalition that has local superintendents on it, local business owners on it, town officials on it, in order to create a coalition and make it a stronger voice, not just the little towns asking you guys to do stuff, but having a concerted effort with everybody. Sure.
Not a lot of people not gonna know.
Absolutely, and this was just for you, but absolutely, the simplest thing we could do is a QR code that says learn more about why we're lighting up purple. Our social media will cover it. Hopefully, again, we're gonna start to get some businesses to just begin to do little things in their businesses so we can get them a little bit more comprehensive.
Let's see, but if we do the windmill light up, have a little sign there, that it says the QR code, you can scan it, and then we get more information.
Yep.
And feel more involved.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, it's purple, but what is
The
it?
why, right, you need to know what the why is. And, one of the beautiful things that you wouldn't not necessarily know about West Hampton community is we have a robust recovery community. And it really is, that also meant we have a lot of drinking in our village, in our town. But you have a lot of people in recovery who are working amongst you and doing really good things. We just don't necessarily all wear it on our shirts that says that. So this is just another great way to kind of to reinforce that it can happen and it does happen, despite the negatives that we hear about addiction so often.
Think they'll do something?
We can ask them, yeah,
I mean, but that is a.
that's their treatment, right, we're
And they,
prevention, their
and they
treatment,
do have that,
Yeah.
a lot of people that go in and out of there. for that type of
Yep.
stuff.
for sure. And I can ask more to see what they can do, even if it's, again, their own updating on their, site, showing it on their signs.
Any other board member comments?
No, I
Okay.
love the little sign idea of the
Yeah,
QR.
okay, maybe,
Understand what it is.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
And then,
that's what we did when we did uplighting on the Bridgehampton one, and there was a little QR code, and I think it said wins, and it brought it right to Hub Supports Recovery Month. The same thing will happen at the Big Duck.
so the sign, the rock plaque at the windmill already has a light, so you can place the sign next to that rock and it will be illuminated. And the walkway lights in conjunction with that, as a start this year at the windmill, I think would be a good start for this year.
Plus that open window that
Yeah.
gazebo where people go
Right.
over there.
Right. Cause, and it's in line with the other,
Did you hear it? We're ball.
well, but it would be,
Yeah, I was gonna say, could we put gels on the lights inside so that it glows purple inside?
I don't know. I think that's what they did at, I think Sag Harbor Village, I know, like the light above in the cupola. I think it is some kind of gel something that they do. I think Town Hall does a film on theirs. Another windmill did some kind of gel on the light. It looked pink, though it didn't look purple, but close. We were good. We're celebrating Barbie that month.
okay, so windmill and we'll look into gels. sign next to the rock and walkway lights. Sounds good.
I was working with Weston, I like it.
Okay, all right, we're back.
Would I coordinate with you, Matt, on lights?
Sure.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right,
Thank you.
thanks so much. Okay. I'm gonna back up to the bocce court. Our true, unfortunately, our applicant had a last minute family event and can't come. I emailed you, his letter to the board. And he's basically asking to resurface the bocce courts. He's got, Vinnie's agreement to do this. He's offering to donate the material, and if our DPW could install it when they can schedule it, sometime over this winter for next season, in time for next season. He's still also asking, the board to contribute half of the cost of the material if we see fit. He's estimating.
Just say he's gonna donate.
I'll donate it.
So if you'd like me to read this to you, I will, so you can, you want me to read it to you? Okay. I, David Asalti, a property owner of 103 Main Street, West Hampton Beach, hereby formally request approval from the board to change the surface of the bocce ball courts. The existing surface, which is now gravel, is not conducive to playing the game. I would like at my own expense to pay for the material. However, if the board in their generous consideration would like to contribute half of the material costs, that amount will be approximately $2,500. I would very much appreciate sharing the costs. Labor for this project will be supplied by the village DPW. The product is known as Hard True Color Dark Green, and that would be the material used to replace the gravel. This product is not only used on bocce ball court surfaces, but also on tennis courts. Vince Fazio, who donated and built the courts, is also in agreement that the surface should be changed. In closing, I would like to thank the mayor and the board for all their efforts and consideration in this matter.
What is it currently?
It's
Stone, they use a big bolt, they have a bolt.
So why would they not have done hard true if it's not?
because Vince thought it was appropriate way back when he
Okay.
put in the courts, that was the appropriate surface and.
I was there that one night, they had the finals going on, and they were doing a nice talking to Vince about it.
Yeah.
I saw once his David Salty was rolling down the stones, and what the big roll over it.
Okay.
So you get an exercise.
And President wanted the crushed oysters, which is the traditional way to play on a bocce court.
Okay, that makes more sense.
That was expensive
Yes.
and difficult to come by with the materials. So then they switched to the gravel and they anticipated it to compact more than it did. And that was one of the ultimate reasons that they're having some slight issues with the materials now.
So, I don't think we need to make a decision tonight, because this is a winter project, and we should at some point let him know, which direction we would like to go. If you wanna discuss it among each other, among ourselves, and come up with a plan.
Okay.
That'll work? Okay? All right, good. So, I'll put TBD. And again, we don't have a presenter for the Mauritius Bay project, and she was unclear as to what she was asking for. So I don't know, we can hold this off until the next work session, unless of course she shows up later on in our meeting, and then we can, it's at that time.
Just one more question about the bocce court. Is
Sure.
it hard to install and take out and all of that? Is that a?
It's not something we do regularly, but the intent is that we just swap it out and be permanently the hard.
Okay, but
And
it's,
then we would have like a little bit on the side, I guess, so that they could.
you add it if there's always a.
It's not.
No, it's not,
Shouldn't take more than 4 hours, but
Okay, and then put it, fill it back in, okay.
But going forward.
4 hours, it's not 4 hours.
your time is like double time.
I mean, it doesn't last, you gotta break it out.
Oh, like a tennis court,
Like
like,
a tennis court.
yeah,
Tennis court,
okay,
right.
so,
something like going,
Going
drive
forward,
once,
you have to
going
maintain.
forward, something you have to.
Right. This is
Okay.
not maintenance free.
Yes.
No, it's not. I don't know why they couldn't just make it into like, putting this, like, do that for those spots, I don't know anything about watching that.
See, that's where I,
was originally
On the north side, was the, almost like an astroturf across the cabin, it was really, some of the astroturf, and they had lights.
No, I don't know.
And
yeah,
No,
okay.
no, it's about logic.
I didn't even know it was that competitive.
I don't know.
okay. Anything else on the budget, please?
No.
No, okay. Moving on, next item, discussion topics. The e-bike code, we've had a meeting with the chief and Steve Angel and discussed, the difficulties that we're having with mostly youth and e-bikes, but it's not strictly youth.
Yeah.
But anyway, the state code seems to have some gaps in its enforceability, and we're having trouble with procedures, I guess, chief, is the best way to say it. Do you wanna chime in and help me out here? As to,
No, just in review with, Mr. Angel, you know, we did review sections of the vehicle and traffic law, and we felt that there may be room in there to, enact the village code. And then on our side, it was just a, liability issue and dealing with juveniles and how to proceed once we do contact them and, try and get them to terminate what they're doing. So we're in the process of just reviewing different procedures in order to make sure that, when we write them up, stage will review them, just to kind of reduce our liability in enforcing what we're trying to accomplish here.
and impounding the bikes is another strategy, but also has its difficulties as well.
Everything's got, positive and negatives to it, so.
Right, right. What's strange?
Yeah, well, no, what we discussed was the problem with potentially under 16-year-olds who cannot, according to the law, can't ride an e-bike. And so what do you do if they're breaking the law, doing something like going too fast or riding the wrong way or riding on the sidewalk, and you find out that they're under 16? My advice was you can't let them take the bike home. You have to impound the bike until some adult comes and gets it. Yeah, because the policeman then puts a 14-year-old back on a bike and he kills himself. You can't do that. And so that was one aspect. And the other aspect was to what extent can we regulate e-bikes? And we looked at it, the statute, the state statute is very convoluted, but provided. But I think that the village could delineate by local law certain areas where e-bikes are prohibited. So for example, if you wanted to prohibit bikes on Main Street, business area, which would, I mean, it's not my business to say it makes sense or not, but it makes sense. You could do that by local law as long as you put up signs to tell people you can't drive your e-bike here. So you may want to consider what?
And on street and skateboards and scooters and things like that.
Yeah, you could do it for e-bikes as well.
Amend the code and add e-bikes as a,
You could add it, you could probably amend the code to provide for that in accordance with this provision and modify your signage in some fashion.
I don't understand what you say about bicycles and stuff, and how are we doing enforcement now with the kids riding bicycles that ride wheelers down the middle of Main Street? If somebody's gonna get killed, one of these kids is gonna get backed into, run over, or they're gonna run into it. pedestrian on the sidewalk and injure somebody, so, and that's what it comes down to. If you go down there any night of the week, I don't care what night, they have money, reckless all over. And so we have to do something, because if not, if we don't do anything, we're gonna be accountable because we didn't do anything. I mean, unfortunately. I know, I saw them last night, they stopped somebody, and they did address somebody in the street. I was walking Main Street, and I saw that. It's just right.
I mean, the police are not, it's not a constant presence.
No, I understand everything, but I understand there's
They-
gotta be something.
They are vigilant and they are taking care of them as best they can, but they can't be
Because
everywhere.
they're riding on the sidewalks there, that's in Springfield, I was working in front of my house, making a little wooden fence to that effect. And they went by in front of my house at 25, 30 miles an hour on the sidewalk, not on the road, on the sidewalk. So if I was trying to pull out of my driveway, or somebody, I'm just walking out of my driveway just to go onto the sidewalk, they run into you, you can't stop, because you're not gonna hear them coming, because e-bikes make no noise. You know, I made a little buzzing noise, but you don't hear it. Like I said, I'm deaf in my left ear, so if I'm going out to the left, I won't hear it, because I'm deaf.
I don't think anybody here disagrees that it's an issue and a problem. It's coming up with solutions.
I know, I understand that,
So,
but
yeah.
we still gotta press this thing and keep
Right.
moving forward, getting us sit back.
Oh, no,
And school's coming, so, you know, it's gonna be worse with all the e-bags, all the kids gonna be going back.
well, that's the other thing, that's the other avenue that we have. So when the school goes back into session, we do have our SRO in the school, and the district superintendent and the teachers are very, very cooperative and helpful, and we have a good relationship with the school. So those kinds of things can be pursued with the students at
We
that
have
time
to
as
do that
well.
at the end of the year, we work with the superintendent, to put a message out, representing like, that'll continue once school's back in session.
Right. So it's an ongoing effort.
Ongoing problem.
Well,
Yeah.
there's also, we also talked about, some bikes are not e-bikes, they're not supposed to be on the road, like they're dirt bikes essentially, right? So they're just illegal, you know, and no matter who's driving them, they're not supposed to be on the road. So there's different categories that the chief is looking into of like, okay, if it's this bike, it's just illegal, that's different versus like an e-bike versus a bicycle, because yes, they're not supposed to be in the road. I do see though that it's hard to catch them
No, it's.
in the road in the act. So-
Whizzing in and out of traffic, and
Yeah.
going all over, and
So-
go against the traffic.
And the
They go
solution,
against
like the solutions vary because you don't wanna chase them and then you don't, but you're trying to get their attention, but they don't wanna stop, so it's, and if they're not currently doing it, then what do you do? So we do have to think about what to do, cause you're absolutely right that it is a problem. And then so like Mr. Angel said, that saying not on Main Street will make it so that it's now in the code and then he can enforce it that it's not on Main Street. Not that it's not gonna happen elsewhere, but the kids are also using them as transportation,
The real
so,
issue here is gotta be trying to educate our parents.
That's
Our parents are the ones who are out there buying these $6,000-$7,000 machines for these 14-year-olds and saying, yeah, just go.
Yeah.
So we really kinda, I think, have to adjust our mechanisms and who we're reaching out to. Because it's not
I was just
educating
gonna say,
parents.
you need to send a letter
This
out,
can't be.
like the school sends a letter home, like before school's gonna start, all the letters, maybe we should work with them.
sure.
Letters going out now.
Yeah.
Addressing this problem.
We have like a parent square that we use that's just a notification system instead of having mailings all the
Yeah.
time. So they just, yeah, so they just send it out and that just gets to everyone and it's increasingly been the way that we communicate with the school, which has been nice instead of where's that paper? And I would say most people have it by now. So I know that was the one thing that you sent out or coordinated with the school of what an e-bike is, what's legal, how old you have to be, because I don't think a lot of the parents know when they're getting it. They're just, the kids are like, I want this one, and then they get them that one, and you can't even have it on the road at all, and they wanna go from Remsenburg to East Quogue to their friend's house, and the parents are working, can't drive them, and then
That's what it, and the
That's
parents
what
are
it
like,
is.
okay, I don't take them, then I don't mind.
Yeah.
Do it.
And then, so then the other thing was if they take, they take the bike and then, are you driving the child to a house? Are you keeping them until a parent comes? Are the parents working? Like,
And then the kid's not gonna listen anyway. They're gonna
Yes.
feel like, back to it.
Ew.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just need to come up with solutions,
Yeah,
but
maybe put it- like I said, first, right, maybe put the signs up on Main Street.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but
Let's make e-bikes.
For Main Street.
That would be part of it.
Yeah.
The signs up,
It's
yeah.
gotta be, it's, but as, when we
Yeah.
looked at the vehicle and traffic law, it stipulates that in there, that it's gotta be proper signage in the area that's being
Right.
I think
restricted.
that's the first protocol, proper signage and notifying them through the school,
Right.
the parents and everybody else. That's what I think we do, educate them.
Can we also do something like, once we change the code, can we do like a piece in the press? Cause you reach more people than just like this.
I think so. Well, you can do that as well. We have to advertise the code change and we have to go through a law change anyway in public hearing. And it goes into the press in that manner anyway. But social media seems to be, much more effective.
Yeah.
Once the code is changed
Yeah.
and the signage is required by law to enforce the code. So all those things done, yes.
Cause it might be something as simple as saying to
Yeah.
a parent, you do realize like
Yeah.
basically giving your underage unlicensed kid a vehicle to drive.
Yeah.
They might stop, like somebody else says it to them, they're just not thinking of it.
Yeah, well, they do, they're like, I think working papers are 14, is that right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Some of them are getting to work that way. So that's another thing, that they're, yeah.
We support kids going to work, we support them.
Yes, we support kids going to work.
I'm
We
not
do.
gonna be- so ride a bicycle like a normal bike.
Yeah, a bicycle.
Yeah, I see all these kids,
By the way.
they're not getting any smaller.
Yeah, that's true.
We're working on it, it's like anything else, something new comes onto the market, just trying to adjust to it as fast as we can.
Right.
And again, this isn't a West Hampton Beach problem, this is.
They should be.
So.
Yes.
And maybe the Main Street restrictions would be a good start.
So we can just make I think, a simple amendment to our existing code and add e-bikes.
The entire, not the entire length of Main Street, or like Main Street?
Well,
It would be considered the B1. I would have to look at the code and refresh myself. I think it's just the B1 district, which would be, would go all
Circle
the
to
way to
circle or
Aspetuck
something?
and Griffin and down towards the
Maybe
bridge.
circle to circle
I think,
on Main
I
Street.
think what the mayor said, it's gotta be B1.
Yeah,
It's gonna encompass Sunset Avenue, it's gotta encompass Beach
So,
Road, New Road.
Sunset Avenue, Mill Road,
You
Veg.
probably want to go to Beach Road. Beach
Yeah.
Road, Beach
Oh,
Road,
yeah.
rather than-
Absolutely.
I think that's, that might be B3 there.
That's C, some of it's
Some of it's
C.
C.
Yeah.
Well, that's what, like, people do take them to the beach, so I could see residents not being happy that
Well, but if
they're
you-
gonna ride their, like, an adult is gonna ride their e-bike to
to
the
go down
beach.
Beach Road,
Yes, as long as you can get through.
but you can't go on Main Street in front of the post office. It would seem to me stopping it as a practical matter, chief, right at the circle would be not very good. You don't want people to pull out of the circle,
Between Beach Lane, Beach Road and
the circle. And then all the way to the other circle, the boat.
Code section, because you also don't, you didn't wanna stop people from bicycling to the parking lot, parking their bike and walking Main Street. So it couldn't just be B1, it was, but it's spelled out.
For the bicycles. Yeah, so it should be the same.
Skateboard, roller skates, rollerblades, scooters are similar devices, very useful.
What's the area? What's the area?
Main Street, from Beach Lane to Potunk, Moneybog Lane from the southerly side of Main Street to its southerly terminus, so not on Moneybog at all. Holds Court from the eastern line, Moneybog Lane to the village parking lots, so that's just the Colorado connection there. And Colorado Drive from, library to the parking lot. So all of Colorado, all of Moneybog, and Main Street from,
Main Street from Potomac.
Potunk. You could still bike to the Glover's parking lot, put your bike there and then walk down Main Street. But we're gonna keep people off of Mill, so if that's something you might.
Okay, we'll take a look at it.
We should also talk to the school maybe.
It's really talking about two different things here, you know, we're talking about general e-bikes in general, which there are some people over 16 who ride them, they ride them appropriately.
Yeah.
We're really addressing the juvenile problem here.
Mhm.
We're under 16, they're not supposed to be on them at all. So that's kind of tackling two different things here.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we'll take a look at the existing code and policies for the police department and impounding and all those kinds of things, right? Yeah. Okay, anything else, board members?
Nope.
Okay. Next item, Main Street proposal, as we discussed, putting in a drive, essentially a driveway. Brad, myself, and Vinnie Gaudiello went, took a look at the site in person, and there are some difficulties with the grade slope at the most direct route for the driveway. Because it's a big hole. That's what they put it in. And it's a sump, and apparently formerly it's maybe sand milling or something that's going on there. So it's gonna be a much more extensive project to put a driveway there, because we have to put in fill, and there's maybe even a retaining wall of some sort. And going the other route is another option, but that's a longer route, and if you're looking at the property to purchase it, some of the views are not as positive as one might think, because there's old debris, stacks of trees, and a couple of junk vehicles, I think. So it's not a high selling point to drive by that. In one of your emails, you mentioned that you thought one of the neighbors might be interested.
Yes.
I don't know, it occurred to me after that maybe the best approach, remember we thought about noticing all the neighbors within 200 feet of the property.
Yeah.
To see if any of them are interested. If they're interested in purchasing the property and extending their own property, they might not even want the driveway.
Yeah.
So,
That's it. I think that's a good
What we need to do with, what we need to do, I think we should give an appraisal. Know what you're talking about. Because we, you know, it's municipal property, we can't let it go for what less than it's worth.
right.
So if you're gonna negotiate with your, talk to the neighbors, you really should have some idea of what it's gonna cost.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense to get an appraisal. How many do we get? 3? 2?
No, just go, I would just go.
Don't we get one?
Yeah, sales.
I thought we did an appraisal
We
on
did.
the property.
We did 2 appraisals on
Yes.
another property for a different reason.
Okay.
And then it was disconcerting because one was double the other. if you
Well,
recall.
that's what I'm thinking
Yes.
is I just,
So,
we wanna be sure. I don't know if we need to do 2. I don't mind doing
No,
one.
we can.
Yeah.
We do one install.
See what it comes
Maybe
back
they want sewage, I mean, on the second one, they could get sewage.
And you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about the expenditure of driveway.
Yeah, and I think a neighbor, if the neighbor I have in mind isn't interested, another one might be. It's probably just the most, but that makes the most sense.
I don't think we can direct our approach to one particular neighbor. We have to
Yeah.
notify everybody at the same time and
Yes,
get the
but I
appraisal in
We're gonna
advance
try
of
to figure out who
notification.
goes to have the road or not, because it changes, like who would be interested maybe in it if we put the road in. But like you said, doing an appraisal first and then noticing.
Right,
Yeah.
we could let them know that we do have a road opening permit in place right
Right.
now. And that it can be taken advantage
It's a
of.
buildable, it's a buildable.
Right, exactly.
You can legally access it, but you can't practically access it. That's why we were trying to investigate, just throw the driveway in, so if anyone, when we do notice everybody, they can actually walk down there and look at it. You can't really, you don't wanna send people around at this point.
We're notifying neighbors if there's no interest, then we can pursue.
Then we can move forward with Vinnie Gaudiello giving us a proposal for engineering a driveway, put that out to bid.
What we probably need from Vinnie is we need an estimate of the cost of bringing it up to development standards. So if you get an appraisal of a property like this, usually the appraiser will look at the property, but then require an engineer definition of what it means, what it costs minimally to get it to the point where it's a buildable lot. And if that's, that would be then subtracted from the market value of a buildable lot like this of 79,000 square feet in this area.
But it could also possibly be close to 2 lots if somebody wanted to go that route. So I don't know,
It would have, well, an appraiser could do a pretty sophisticated appraisal and come up with some sort of number of what the market would pay with the possibility of making it to 2 lots.
Yeah. Okay.
Not many people are sophisticated enough to do that. Becomes very subjective.
They've gotta have a lot
Right.
of time.
Well, that's what kind of disappointed me with the other appraisals that we had. It seemed so subjective for them to come out that far apart.
I think we have the general idea too.
This one,
This more straightforward, do you think?
I think it's more straightforward.
Probably gotta make it, so give it a place, we'll notify what people do, that should be the first course.
Yes.
After that.
All right. Yeah, okay. All right. So
And
that's,
I'll solicit a couple of proposals from the appraisers, so that we can vote on, see how much you charge.
okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the bench tree lamppost application
We
form.
have also the bike lane proposal.
Did I skip that? Oh, I skipped that. Bike lane, bike lane proposal, I'm sorry. Thank you, Kim. We have a proposal from Young and Young for the survey of the Dune Road from, in the 2 sections between the bridges and then from the Beach Lane Bridge to Quogue. And task 1 being between the 2 bridges, surveying was $25,400 plus $11,000 for preliminary engineering. Task 2 would be from Beach Lane Bridge to the Quogue line, would be an additional $17,700 plus the $7,700 for the initial engineering. We need to have these in place to apply for a grant, which is my goal in the first place, is to proceed with applying for grant funding for this project. So we would have to have these surveys and estimates in place, apply for the grant, and then hopefully get the grant approved and start moving forward with the project. We have to put it out to bid, and it's gonna be a long process. It's not gonna happen immediately. And the grants,
You mean like the survey done?
yes, because you apply for the grant saying, I wanna do this. And in the grant application, you have to be very specific as to what you're doing. You can't say, oh, we just wanna put a bike lane, I want $1.5 million,
Yeah.
and they won't,
Did they come back and give it, for the money that we spent on the survey, did they potentially give that back to you?
potentially, it depends, yes, potentially.
So the survey is 25 grand. It's
Just
25
one part.
just for, right,
Yes.
just for them to look at them and say yes or no.
That's to literally go out and do the meets and bounds description. Just
Yes.
to observe.
On Dune Road, our right of way that we own, and it has all kinds of grades and would include there's mailboxes, stones,
It's getting the existing conditions map to see what's most appropriate here, combined lane, separate, without that first existing conditions map, and they don't need a lot of topography. It's kind of hard to even know which direction you're going with the design.
And this has the existing.
So
It's not too much of the road, it's more the private properties, improvements all within the right of way, because we would assume the road is the road, we're gonna be probably improving a portion that's not currently improved.
like extend the road if you were extending. So it was, yeah, that's, so not 100% understanding. I walked through the, like there's barely enough room to walk, I mean, put a bike lane.
Yes.
So a lot of those people along Ping Road have their lawn encroaching.
Right. Yes, they have an awful lot of personal accoutrements, stones, plantings, whatever, on village property. So as a part of this project, we have to first get it all surveyed. And the meets and bounds and all those kinds of things, telephone poles, fire hydrants, where they are, and where the encroachments are. And we would have to notify all these people if, when it comes to the point in time we're doing the project, we have to notify all these people that this project is going to be done and that they would have to remove the items from the village property. So it's gonna be a long task. It's gonna take
Do they
years.
remove it or we remove it?
But you have to give them the option to remove it, and if they don't, then we have the right to.
I think it behooves us more so to put a sidewalk in than a bike lane.
Bike lane.
Because a bike lane, how many people ride the bike lane? Most people I see are walking on the weekends, other things, I do with the car, and stuff like that. People are walking 2, 3 across the road. West. So a bike lane is just gonna fuel that fire, even more so. Because they're gonna be a sense of entitlement, but there's a white line coming down the road here.
We have to have it engineered, Rob.
No, I know we still have to have an engineer, but I think we should engineer it with a sidewalk. So,
Those are all.
wasting time putting a bike lane. I mean, I think if we're gonna engineer it correctly, I would make it more that you can actually walk down Beach, down Jessup, you know, and there is sidewalks that are coming up that way right now, but you have a sidewalk.
Right.
And then people can walk there, and then they also, everybody's probably gonna be pushed back where it's supposed to be, because now you're gonna be using, it's gonna make it more safe for us.
50-foot right of way.
There's going to be multiple options. It's gonna be walking only, biking and walking. If you cut off the biking entirely, you're gonna limit your potential funding
I'm
source.
not saying cut off the bike.
No,
Interesting,
When you go, because we're expecting to go for a grant. If it includes bike lanes, then there's alternative transportation grants,
Well,
options you can get
you
from
can still do a
the
bike
state.
lane, it's still gonna like bike, but the walking is a better aspect, because then you could actually, you had to put a drain in or something else, you have a curb, you have this for plowing purposes, and other, it's gonna make it safer for everybody.
What we talked about with the LWRP was really walking and biking. Should those be separate? Should those be combined? I think everyone agrees that safe walking is something.
Right now, it's a habit.
Yes.
No
question. If we could do both.
We have to look into the survey, we have to look into both.
It might even be in certain sections, the road's very wide, we're gonna have a bike lane, and in certain sections, the bike lane is gonna, and then you'll enter the regular traffic. But all of that doesn't happen without the survey.
Right, it has to be engineered and it has to be applied for, and if we just pretend we eliminate the bike lane out of hand, that'll, as Brad say, eliminate a lot of our qualification for grant funding.
No, but I think, don't think we
So,
should eliminate, I think we
should
should come with
get
with
both.
a walking lane slash bike lane,
Yes.
because of safety reasons. Because everybody is, they're all over the place, so somebody is gonna get hit, but somebody, I think over the years have been hit, so, you know.
So it is, bottom line is, the first step is to get the survey done.
Right, you have to know what you have to move for and
Right.
who has already encroached on it.
Right.
Exactly where it is.
And
So-
does this amount sound,
Well, as I shared with,
I think we were pleasantly surprised that it was
Yes.
as low as it.
oh, really?
It's
Yes.
a lot of road.
Okay.
It's a lot of road.
I was very surprised
Yeah.
with and one of the reasons we approached them first is that they were the ones that did the most recent survey
Right.
in 2001, so they already
So
have
they had it.
some of the information.
It's a mile bridge to bridge and 0.7 miles.
Yeah. Right.
East of Rogers.
Right.
What are they doing over there in Spion, that's not go off topic, but they're putting a sidewalk in Spion, as they coming down Montauk Highway.
That's a county road, I think.
It's
County.
County's doing that?
They're improving the existing sidewalk and extending it.
Right. But there was no sidewalk, that whole stretch that
Right.
they must be on lumber. There
Yeah,
was
but
no
nobody
sidewalk.
nobody walks down there anymore.
I don't know.
There's a
that's-
lot more housing over there though.
Well, I guess with the train and everything else, but it's big, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that just recently, it seemed weird to me, because you have this nice sidewalk over here, and you have about 100 feet of, Spion lumber,
Yeah.
asphalt with their trucks, I don't know. It seems to me that that sidewalk could be used someplace else.
It's a sun top.
Yeah, you did it, Rob.
So would the board be in favor of, finding a resolution on to approve this for both task one and task two, just so we get a start and see where we stand in both, situations?
And is task one, that like mapping it out, and what is task two, what are they
Is-
doing?
Well, task one is between the bridges.
Okay.
And task two is
This
the bridge to Quab Line. And I have talked to Bob Trumbull, Mayor of Quab, and he wants me to keep him apprised of how we move forward. And eventually, the thought was they would build a
Right.
similar thing from
To
the
connect
Quab
that.
Line to the Quab Bridge. They already have some sidewalk there.
It's like this new system we did. Phase one, kept it small.
Yeah,
I think we keep it small between the bridges right now.
yeah.
And then see how that works, and then if everything, then we go back to Quag, hey, they wanna kick in, join, and
Oh,
something like that.
no, you have to be a separate.
That's the main reason.
If Quab participates, they have to do it on their own.
That's
And they don't have an LWRP, so that aspect of grant funding would not be available to them unless they develop one.
I
So,
think between the bridges is where we should really focus out, I think.
But I don't know if we don't, because of the grant, do we need to do both of them together for the grant? Like, I think Rob's saying to just do this, like
Yes.
this one.
Right.
With the survey, and not do this, but then we'd
This
have
is-
to apply.
this is the reason I asked them to break it down into two tasks in case we wanted to separate it.
Yeah.
So, rather than have one,
But could we potentially, if we did get the grant, could we add this on, or we're only,
it would turn
We'd
into
have-
a separate grant
it would be a
application.
different one, okay.
But it's a board decision as to how we go. If you wanna talk among yourselves about it and then get back to me with how you want me to word the resolution, that's fine.
Well, I'm definitely thinking, just out
I
loud,
think
that phase
that's-
August one is
Is,
the
uh,
bridge to
essential.
bridge, makes
Yeah,
sense.
I think it's
But
essential.
I almost, I think we should think about task two, because I don't know that it makes sense to do it again later with
It would
another
be-
grant
In my mind, a shame to
to not do it.
to lose the opportunity. Because if, chances are, if you don't do it now, it's not gonna be done for a long time. So that, but again, it's a board, it's not easy, these kinds
I
of
don't
things.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's gonna take X amount of years to even do the first part.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna
The second part even longer.
I would
It just
guess
probably
at
wouldn't
least,
You know,
by the time we get through all the processes, 3 years, I would guess. You know, the LWRP phase two, when I was talking to the state, that we're just applying for now, that is gonna take, they estimate, 5 years, just to get that in place, and then we can apply for grants underneath that. But right now, we're qualifying for some grants because we've semi-completed LWRP phase one. So that's why we got the grant for Pond Point, for example.
to do the two, are they gonna, like, when do we have to figure out if we're doing the bike lane and the walking lane, is that a separate?
The grant deadline is the end of August every year, right? August,
The end of July, right? Oh, no, we have to get it in by August first.
I forget. It's the end of August, I think the end of August every year.
Oh, that's.
So this year is too
Every
late.
time.
But, so we would be applying for the grant, if at all, next year.
Okay.
existing conditions will change as houses are approved, torn down, but they don't change that. So you could have a pretty good survey and then, oh, this changed. It wouldn't, that work wouldn't be,
Yeah,
it wouldn't
we
go
wouldn't have to do this
waste.
whole thing again, it would be probably parts,
Yes.
okay. I think
Sorry?
we'll-
Number.
That way, we have, the synagogue candle lighting services, that why you're here? No. Okay. Anything on that? Is there anything in particular?
We just went. Number 10. Oh! Well, had you let me know, I would have gladly rearranged the, I wasn't aware of that. Thank you, thank you. So, well, first of all, we're done with the number 2, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, at this time, we can skip to number 10. That's fine. I did receive an email inquiry, and I did pursue it and sent the email, forwarded it to our traffic engineer, our police department, our DPW. The answer is, I'm sorry. That in order to make it, if as proposed, a dead end or a circle or a turnaround or whatever, there are legal provisions that would have to accommodate, would have to be of the size to accommodate emergency vehicles like fire trucks and things like that. In order for that to be happening, neighboring properties would have to give up some of their property to accomplish that. And forever. Yeah. Oh, how much?
It's a significant, to make the cul-de-sac available for a vehicle to turn around, it's pretty significant. Based on the width of the road there, it would be a tall order to try to accomplish that.
It would cut into the back, to the yards of the neighboring people significantly.
Put up a gate that's a motion gate that the emergency vehicles would have some way to open it in case they had to, because it's a real problem. Where, it's a dangerous
We did
problem.
receive, let me see if I brought that, an email from our traffic engineer with some suggestions. And with my luck, I brought everything but. He did. Bear with me, please. Okay. I can read this to you if you'd like. Okay. Yeah, we spent this much time here, so why not?
We also get a copy of it, so we have it like a little more.
Certainly, yes, we can easily email a copy of this to you. It says, this is from our traffic engineer. I would like to give you a couple of thoughts on the Pine Street proposal. The first is that in closing the road, it may be necessary to provide turnaround at the end of the closed-off road. If done in the middle of the road, such as just north of the commercial property, a turnaround for the end of each closed road may be necessary. The turnaround can be a cul-de-sac or a hammerhead, but may be difficult to accommodate in the 50-foot rights-of-way available. The turnaround is a requirement of the New York State Fire and Safety Code, but is also helpful for sanitary fuel delivery and other trucks that serve the neighborhood. The residents wish to stop truck traffic serving the businesses on the south end of Pine Street from traveling through the neighborhood. These trucks are using Rogers Avenue to go back and forth to Old Riverhead Road and points north. It allows them to avoid the intersection of Montauk Highway and Old Riverhead Road that often has congestion. By blocking Pine Street, the trucks will have to reroute. Most likely, the trucks leaving the area will use Hazelwood Avenue instead. Traffic from the north will most likely still use Rogers Avenue but continue to Montauk Highway, making a right turn and then another right turn onto Pine Street. I'm lost already, but
We live it, so we know.
yes, okay. It may be easier to prohibit left turns from northbound Pine Street onto northbound Rogers, which should reduce truck usage of Pine Street by half. That's his proposal. So that was something that I was gonna discuss with the board, to see if we would have to pass a code, no left turns for truck traffic and all those kinds of things, and pass, and put up signage, of course, after the code is passed. That takes the process of a public hearing and noticing in the newspaper, those kinds of things. So it's not an immediate solution, but yes, sir.
A couple of points. I'm adjacent to the commercial district, and this dovetails with what I think is going to be discussed tomorrow as well, because they want to increase the, they want to do some building in that area as well in terms of a warehouse for the beverage
Oh, okay,
folks on
Okay.
13. And as it stands now, and I'm just reporting what I see, so I don't know what the solutions and the parameters are on these things, and obviously the legal code, so I'm just pointing out that there are points where besides the noise and the traffic, it is closed off. In other words, there's so much going back and forth, and the people who stop and park on the side of the road rather than go into La Casa Exquisita, basically close down the road to the extent that there are times when you can't get through, and leaving gullies on the side of wherever they live. I mean, there's a pond over there that has not been free of water the entire summer that I've been there. So there are consequences, and I understand that one of the things you're struggling with is the ongoing traffic and redirecting in various ways. But the heading north, for example, if you go up Rogers and make a left turn onto Pine Street, which is what people do, it basically becomes a virtual roundabout, which is what you have right out here, which is appropriate for a commercial area. But our area is only a small part commercial, and that roundabout phenomenon winds up intruding on us regularly. And I'm just, again, you're addressing it, and I don't know what the parameters are, but I'm pointing out the issues that I'm experiencing it. And, to the credit of all the commercial establishments, they're successful and growing significantly. I mean, I'm seeing people stopping there regularly, and more so especially at the restaurant, which is great for commerce and other things, but also there is a downside. Last point I'd make is that I have a feeling that this was never quite intended this way. If you go up Rogers once again and make a left onto Pine, it's actually a very narrow street. And then it continues to make the left, and it gets wider and wider, almost as if it was retrofitted for that kind of activity. But again, it's when you go the other direction and you work your way out, you're basically funneling in through a very narrow street, and there are consequences.
yes, the narrow streets tend to slow traffic down as soon as it narrows, but actually in a majority of the village properties, the actual rights of way, the village property is consistent for the most part, but not completely.
Sorry, it's a very sharp turn, and many of our lawns have been parked, the huge trucks just parked right on our lawns when they go for lunch. And then they take the big vehicles and they go around in this circle that he's talking about. The dog's been hit, the kids wanna be in the street. I mean, it's really unfair for us. There's gotta be some other solution. Last summer they put up no truck, they ignore it. They see the signs that say on both ends that this is not a truck road, and they don't care, they go through. They just keep driving through and destroying property. My mailbox has been cut over, hit multiple times. I had to put big rocks so they don't park on my lawn. The garbage, the gullies that he's talking about when they park on the side, they fill with water, and then there's more bugs and mosquitoes that are just, it's a horrible situation.
Matthew knows because I've been in contact with him multiple times. The situation with the gullies is really extreme. It's very deep. They're constantly filled with water. It hasn't dried for months. And it really is getting worse. Like whatever's going on, like they're on my lawn, like many feet in. And the other thing in terms of what was mentioned before about this proposal that's gonna be before the zoning board tomorrow evening. So they're looking to expand the beverage company's warehouse, which is great. But between them and La Casita, the restaurant, they have a lot more space than we have as homeowners on our 50-foot, lawn. And perhaps when this new property is being envisioned, together the two businesses can figure out how they could maybe donate some of the space for access and egress because they're really, part of the problem. And maybe they could work together to donate some of their lands for the turnaround. It'd be the perfect spot. It's all the way at the end and it would accommodate all the needs, the emergency vehicle, snow clearance, all of that we need. That might be considered tomorrow evening as part of this proposal.
They've been great neighbors, by the way. They've been excellent neighbors. I've had no issues with other elements. I mean, when George at the beverage place was building, had the mounds of the pavers that went up to the sky. He was very, thank you very much for tolerating us. It's only temporary, etc. And we said, yeah, you're a great neighbor. You've been very nice to us, and we're happy to be. So it is both ways. We're happy.
It's better if we can work things out cooperatively, so that's always the best.
There's a whole section by the restaurant where they have their dumpsters that is just filled with trash. And that's an area that could be extended for the circle or some way to close it off.
And like I said, they pull the dumpsters a little closer to the restaurant, there'd be a lot more room for the turnaround, and it would also be like maybe less garbage around. That would be great. And I think possibly because of, Matthew can speak to this more, but possibly because of this heavy usage of this road that was not intended for that in any way. The whole road on Pine Street really needs repaving. I know there's budget issues and other concerns, but given what's going on and that the situation is getting worse rapidly on the street, if we could also be accelerated for repaving when you're doing your budgeting and allocating resources, we really appreciate it.
Okay.
It's not gonna get easier with Citarellos coming in. So I live on Hazelwood.
Oh, there you go.
We have the same thing with the trucks. So sometimes I close my eyes as I turn onto Hazelwood because there's just cars constantly coming at you. The trucks are there. You've got to go around the trucks just to get down Hazelwood. So that whole and I thank you for being here for Pine Street. And I certainly don't want to jump on what you're talking about. But what I want to make sure is that to broaden the lens out, to just look at this whole section is problematic. And it was Citarellas going in and the ambulance and Circle M, it gets pretty messy around there and pretty dangerous. You feel like Frogger driving.
You turn onto Montauk Highway either way, it's and I bicycle and it's like I like to walk across Montauk Highway, which I never used to have to. It's changed. It has changed.
Mayor, I think what they're experiencing is a problem we've also had in certain areas like down on June Road, where the service vehicles that are getting bigger. What used to be maybe a pickup with a small trailer attached, like a 12-foot trailer with a mower on there, has now become, dual cab dump trucks, and then they're throwing a 30-foot trailer on top of that. And that's what we're seeing all through the village, really. That's why our issues on June Road with the parking had to be expanded, for similar reasons to that. And the rights, Kim's right, it's not just an issue that's occurring on Pine Street there. It occurs on Hazelwood Avenue every single day. So it is something, if we're gonna look at that, we have to look at maybe a way to accommodate the larger vehicles.
That's the whole thing we're working with the county right now, trying to fix it tuningly, something on Montauk Highway there, more flow, and now that'll stop the people from making the left over there, making over the railroad tracks, making the left and then banging it right down Hazelwood and Marches, because they're trying to circumvent that traffic bottleneck from the train station over. Yeah, we understand that there's vast amount, and that's what people are doing, you know, so it's not like we're not aware, we're aware. And I know the county's trying to think of something to do something at the light there, but I don't know exactly what yet, so, but we are, as a board, are aware, but we know, but we don't have any suggestions yet, because there's so many people involved. And like I said, we only can do so much, and we have to work with the county, you know, it's a highway there, and that's not us, we can't do anything with that.
Right, the county's had plans for that Riverhead Road and Montauk Highway intersection in place for over 14 years to improve it, and they have yet to budget for it and engage those plans. I have been in conversation with the county, and it looks like could be happening put out to bid in 2027, and the project accomplished in 2028 for that improvement. But as with everything else, it depends on their budget and how they prioritize different projects. So it's been in place for a number of years and just has not been accomplished yet. So as Rob said, we are aware of it, and it would be a huge help if that intersection were much more efficient and could handle the volume of traffic that's coming through. Then these side roads would be alleviated of these issues, so. We-
Some of you serve on the zoning board meeting tomorrow night because, before the owner of the beverage company invests all this money in his new plan, I thought if it could be brought to their attention to work with the restaurant to consider another access and egress proposal for the property before they finish with the architect and do all that work, and then it's kind of like very hard to go back and it's a moot point. Can somehow this be raised at the zoning board meeting as a suggestion before this proposal of his is approved and he puts all the money into it, then we won't have any options to do it.
So no board members, this is a work session for trustees only, there's no zoning board members here. I'm the building inspector, I'll be at the zoning board meeting, but I'm sure some of you probably received notices for that meeting, so are you more than welcome to come down and not that you wanna be here 2 nights in a row, but voice any concerns again tomorrow. It's gonna go back to the planning board, and it's going to also come back to the trustees at some point, because we do have like a split zoning issue with this piece of property. It's very complicated, and ultimately this board, we have to rely on our traffic experts. Our consulting engineer is a preeminent traffic engineer and been working in this area for over 50 years.
So this is his expertise as traffic engineering.
It's something I think it's worth exploring further. It's just, that definitely is difficult because of those types of, those businesses between mostly George, Fruit King, and also before this 13 Pine Street, that's before the boards now, that was, True Value had an interest in it, and they were using it for overflow as well, although they haven't used it that much in recent years. There was a site plan approval for that to be a warehouse several years back. They just never proceeded with it. I think we have to discuss it further, but if there's the only way I could see it is if you're actually cutting off Pine Street to Montauk. You're putting the circle or hammerhead further up, and eliminating where it intersects with Montauk. But as Ron had said, that's going to force people to go to Hazelwood until maybe such time where that overhead road intersection is, operating quicker. At that point, we could probably try to discourage people from using Hazelwood. But as is right now, you're so backed up, people are just gonna waiting for the light. You're just gonna make that turn down Hazelwood. Right. I don't know.
It is a difficult, complicated problem, and thank you for coming and thank you for participating. And I think tomorrow night, if you bring those concerns to the board as well, we are to a large degree independent boards, and we're supposed to be. So we're supposed to be making independent but coordinated decisions, and there's a fine line between that. So we have to be careful in a lot of respects to move forward properly.
Sorry, our consulting engineer, is the traffic guy, he's comes to all the planning board meetings. Cause traffic circulation, that's more like a planning board function or a zoning board function, but, this application will bounce around between the boards. So we definitely, we're gonna try to explore it further, but it's tricky.
Thank you very much. Okay. No, I'm lost. No, I got it. Next thing on our agenda is the bench tree lamp post application form. We had some discussion last time about, we did order the new benches. They have arrived. They are at DPW on site. And we do have a bench committee, correct? It's going to come up with a plan of where to put the benches. And we don't have to use all 12 right away.
We
can
should
just
not.
use, we can use a few.
We should not use all 12.
We do have, I think, either 2 or 3 people on a waiting list that have asked for benches, so we should approach them first to see if they would be happy with whatever
Yes.
locations you come up with. Plus, there's another application apparently that's pending. We did discuss last time the long-term issues. Chris, if you take a look
Yes.
at that, I amended the wording in the, that one. So if you take a look at the new amendments, if you want to further amend it, that's fine, but basically, it's, no, you can't have one. If the bench becomes damaged over time, say 15, 20 years out, then it's saying that you will be, as the donor, approached with donating another bench. And if you are unable to or don't want to, then the plaque will be removed and retained and returned to you. You have 6 months to decide if you want to put in a new bench and fund it. Because 20 years from now, these benches could be, I don't know what, double the price they are now. So if the bench needs to be replaced, essentially, then we notify it needs to be replaced. If you pay for the replacement, fine, the plaque goes on the new bench. If not, the plaque comes off and the plaque is returned to you. So it's that kind of a concept. Think about it. If you think that's a good way to proceed, that's fine.
And this is $200, there's a space there. I just want to make sure. That's supposed to be.
200, yes. For the brick pad.
Mentioned something about people having approved what, you should have the benches set up where they're gonna go, and then they.
The board decides where it goes.
That's it, that's not like we're gonna wait for people to come make a decision on what the bench is gonna be, no, we
No.
lay them out.
No,
where
no,
they're
no,
gonna go,
no,
and that's
no.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
just
would
say,
say like the benches are where they are, this is what you can pick from.
Yes.
We'll assign one.
right. But that's pre-planned because we do have some existing trees. People want to put a plaque on a tree. And we have some existing lampposts. They want to put a plaque on a lamppost. That's all good and well. And they pay for the tree, even if it's existing. I mean, you pay for whatever you're memorializing or using as a memorial, whatever.
Did we decide we were gonna put like a term on these?
Well, that's the term. It's what is, if it needs to be replaced, then you are approached to replace it. That was my, because we at one point started with a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan and that's just too awkward. this seems better, but if you disagree, that's fine, but let me know.
Well, no, I just like
Yeah.
with any like let's say the John Smith green room at the theater. Usually it's like, all right, they put up, let's say, $20,000. Well, there's 15 years from now when that room is falling apart, whereas it's not in perpetuity, basically.
Right. This isn't in perpetuity. This is
When the bench is done.
when the bench is 15, lifespan of these benches is about 15, 20 years approximately. So that's an approximate span, 15, 20 years.
Giving them like a right of first refusal.
Yeah.
To replace it when it's time.
Paint the room green again.
In 5 years, you gotta put change fence in 5 years, and they get the right of first.
We can't get hold of them.
Then we remove the plaque and keep it, because there's several. Yeah, we had that problem with the Main Street project. We tried to notify people that, we're taking all the benches out, we're gonna come close.
Your last
Yeah.
contact information.
And some of the last known addresses were snail mail, gone, so
Or
it's.
do any benches need to be replaced now?
There is a handful, we did have a supply, so the ones that needed to be replaced have been replaced, we were out of that supply, we're down to even one backup. We were hoping they'd actually use some of the 12 backups, keep them in stock, so.
But then going forward, like, are we still, the people that already did this with your bench that they thought they were having forever, are they going to still have that, or are we gonna implement this? When it becomes,
One of the problems we had with Main Street and redesigned benches, people were very, very upset that we changed the direction of the bench because, their ex-husband or whatever, or late husband, or whatever it might have been, it was always set in this one direction because they loved looking at it. People were very, very upset. And I was kind of taken back by it when I first got here. And that's kind of what I was alluding to, is that they're dedicating the plaque on the bench. They're not actually having any possessive ownership of the bench, despite what they might feel. And I feel like that's how it's assumed for so many years.
It's the problem we have with, we've had, I would say, with multiple donations, is that people give the donation and they think, I donated that, I own it.
Right.
And that's not the case.
Right.
So there's an assumption there. I don't know how you diffuse that.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I think you can diffuse it by saying, we're not gonna do the donation to the bench plaques, and we won't be done with it. I mean, what is the benefit, what is the monetary benefit for this?
Well, it's not, I think it's just that people feel more connected to the community by
I
having,
understand that, but one of those other ways to do that, plaque on a bench is not.
yeah, but people like that.
I know people like it, but I mean, if it becomes a headache and everything else, it's not worth it.
But I think the ones that we should implement something, because this amount of money is not a lot forever.
Right.
Right, so
That's how
I'm just wondering if the ones that are falling apart that have been there for how many years do you think?
I've only been here 7, so I know it's 7 years.
Okay, well, I'm just wondering if we should just, when it comes their time,
Right.
if we should say this is our new policy.
Right.
And if you'd like to do this, this is what we're doing. And when the bench needs to be replaced, it is up to you if you wanna continue doing this with your same plaque, or if you want to not do this anymore, we'll give it to someone else,
One of the issues that I've always had is I'm now, the way it currently is designed, and I'm basically asking the general taxpayer, hey, I need money to pay for somebody to dedicate the bench to keep it in place instead of us just removing it or replacing it, whatever. The decision should really lie within the village's discretion, not the donation. And that was one of the issues that I mentioned, that no way to contact these people, no way to find out anything. And that's when I come up with the subscription idea, or annual donation of, not that they have to necessarily cover the cost of the bench, because I said, well, the bench, the village could pay for it because they're the ones setting the place. And then if somebody wanted to dedicate a plaque, $50 a year, or whatever it is a year, and when they stop paying it, the plaque comes off and it's held and then sent back. That's was one of the alternatives that I was trying to look at. I looked at other villages and other townships that do this.
Yeah.
And they have almost nearly identical issues. People have like possessive ownership over them.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was one township that I was researching, upstate New York. They were sued
That's what
anything, but I just thought that was interesting,
I think it's
Yeah.
within our rights to, like, this is the new rule,
Yeah.
you know, and I also, we can put in here or wherever that it is your responsibility to make sure we have your most
Yes.
up-to-date contact
Or put an
information.
alternate contact.
Because when the time comes, and I would even say less than 6 months, that's very
Yeah.
generous.
I think,
3 months.
well, I don't know, weekly. Sometimes you have to like make an effort.
Right.
Right.
But I just wanna make sure that
Well,
they're
it's
on
also
the same.
So like if something happened in October and it's 6 months, like you wanna give people a chance that maybe aren't here but have been part of the community for a long
In this
time.
day and age of communication, I think 3 months is more than generous.
How many benches?
137 benches.
So you're not gonna go at 130 people every year, oh, you owe us $100 a year.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
You'll never get that.
I agree with the when it's time,
Yeah.
it's time and
When it's time,
you know,
We
whether it's a
try.
phone call, an email, a text message, snail mail, smoke signals, whatever. There's no reason why you can't text bill, there's no reason why you can't respond right away and say, yes, I want this or no.
Tax bill would help, but this also isn't limited to just village residents. So this could be anybody in the world that wants to come and donate money. Maybe that's, you know, a valid argument to make.
You know, I could insert another to Chris's point, insert a separate sentence. Please make sure you keep up-to-date information on your contact,
yeah, or it's your responsibility
consistently with the village.
And yeah,
to continue
I don't on that.
communication.
But my sticking point on the term, like the 6 months thing, I don't, like, we have enough things that get dragged out over time. Where we have control over this, I don't see why we should add to the list of things that are.
Yeah. When you did the Main Street project, how long did it take to contact people? Were they generally like,
We just did it.
but did they respond or were they
Yeah.
responding for months or were they?
I get phone call, I got a phone call the other day, somebody just came back from when we did Main Street, they're wondering why the bench was moved 3 feet to the right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like,
That's
that's
what
been
I'm
out there for
wondering,
almost
like-
6 years now,
Yeah.
5 years now at this point.
I'm wondering like if you called everyone and people
Well,
got
it
back
should
to
be
you in
just
6
on there
weeks
that
or if
you
it's
have
like,
use of the plaques, this is where the bench is, if we move the plaque, this is
Yeah.
where we're gonna move the bench, wherever
That's
we wanna move
what
the bench.
That's
And
what
if it's not working for flow, people
Yeah.
walking, moving trees, whatever, we gotta move the bench, move the bench.
Yeah.
The plaque goes with the bench,
yes.
doesn't matter, it's on the bench,
Yes.
if you don't like it, take your time.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
That was one of the issues, is being able to contact these people for one, but another thing, the village has the discretion to just move it around.
Yeah.
People are very unreasonable.
Should we write that in here? Like that it's, that they don't choose the location and the location is not permanent or something?
I would just say that.
So that they know.
You move the village discretion, you know, more so than anything, the trustees can make a decision to move it.
Yeah, or look, yeah, just thinking that then if you tell them, then they know.
Cause there's some spots that we have benches that I'm like, this is kind of stupid, that it's even here, there's not even a sidewalk near it, so I don't know why there's a bench there, but it's there, it's been there, so,
Yeah.
you know.
Let me come up with a separate sentence about contact information and the village's authority to move the bench at any point,
Okay.
okay?
I will say we'll probably get some backlash, just understandable. I just think I give you advance, you know, because people, for some reason, it's become an incredibly sensitive issue. So,
I do get it, if it's something that's meaningful to them and they sat a certain
Right.
way and they always looked at a certain store or the sun or, you know,
Yeah.
people
We
do,
also have
people do
we have
that.
a responsibility to make sure the bench is safe and
Yeah.
everything else is safe. So we'd love
I
to
don't know
accommodate.
about it.
They call it a public event, be hit by vehicles
Yeah.
in the paver section, so we had to. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry we had to move your bench, but the roadway goes through here now.
yeah, right. Well, that's the issue, is we, you know, future changes, who knows when the future
Right.
brings with the, so.
Oh, you really did get a few complaints about the sidewalks this past weekend and cleaning them, and I said, I know they clean them
Yes.
because I've seen them clean them.
I've also had
But it's
people
the
call me and
material.
complain that they hear the power washer at 6:30 in the morning, I'm like, when do you want me to power wash this?
Yeah.
It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon when this.
He was
thousands of
using
people
a
walking on the
nice
sidewalk.
like
Tell them
machine.
that, no problem.
Yeah.
This week it'll be 5:30.
Yeah, you're right, 6 is too early.
Yeah. But the sidewalk, it's the material, correct? Just so
It is
I'm
the
just saying
material
the right
and
thing.
it's the oils. oils and the waxes that are just adhering to it and just. give
Like
it
the
dark.
gum.
The north side is sun bleached, so you don't see it as much, but it's just as dirty as the south side.
Can we bleach it?
We do.
We do. Okay.
That's as good as we can get it right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Greenwich Village Board of Trustees bans ice cream.
I would never.
That was cool.
I could
That
never.
one comes back. You have that footloose thing all over again.
Back in the 70s or 80s, no food on Main Street.
Oh,
No food.
that's terrible.
I saw that.
That's a stupid cup.
Still got a lot of old folks stuck in it.
Yeah. No gum chewing, no spitting.
No sunflower seeds.
Right, no sunflower. Anyway, should we move on?
Yeah.
All right, I think this is gonna be a quick meeting. If I'm not wrong.
Okay.
DPW JRV Chip Road, Matt, you're on, $7,744.
So let's just give it an idea, but that's, it's an attachment for the payloader.
What do we need it for?
To put like the salt spreaders into the trucks. Because right now what we're doing is we're using a backhoe and it's beating them up in the side of the trucks too. But it's also, could be used to pull trees out. It's really just a,
Wait, there's no more trees out?
well, yes, you'd strap the tree to it and use the strength of the payloader to pull it up.
Do we need to take trees out?
We do. I mean, most of the time we cut it down, but it will
Or
help.
like if they're in a roadway, you would take them?
Yeah, so there's a lot of tree stumps that have to get ripped out. It's just a weird name, but it's basically just designed boom with the front payloader.
How much is that, 7,000?
$7,744.
We do, but you won't have the reach on it. So that's, the whole point of that is to actually have a reach. We have skid steers and backhoes, but it just doesn't have that reach. Because once you get a certain point out, even the backhoe won't have the lifting capability. So the payloader is actually that much more of a leverage.
We have one we put in a truck and use it.
It's not exclusively used just for this salt spreads. It's used for anything. You know, drainage rings that we have to install into the ground. That's probably more likely to use. Drainage fluid covers. You know, some of those are 6,000-7,000 pounds.
Oh, like the one that was off, by Woodland? Like that?
Those are just the steel ones. Those we would just lift manually. But this is more specifically for the concrete drainage. It's the 8-foot drainage rings and stuff like that.
Matt, we're taking a minute, but
Sounds good.
I really don't think it's necessary to have, you know, that's like a.
Okay. Anyone else on that one? All right. Then DPW ad again, the power rate is $14,131.
This is an attachment to the skid steer track machine that's used for grading. Currently, we don't have anything like that to assist us with the grading. So that's very commonly used in landscaping.
Another question, as far as the staff goes, are they all able to use this like equipment or only certain people can?
Only certain ones.
Okay, and how many are?
That's a civil service rule, so anything we would have to have, you know, specific titles for that.
And how many people do we have that can use just like this kind of equipment?
Technically, 5 of us, including
Okay.
myself. Just based on civil service titles, otherwise they were, you know, if you're asking somebody to do the job,
Yeah,
they have to have the civil service title.
Yeah.
Where would we be using this?
That's for any of the rotary shoulders, any of the parks that we have. The great lawn would actually be a great use for it. So basically it just tills up the top layer of material to kind of grade the property out so it's more flush. So when you replant the seed, it's not a wave.
What do we use now?
The wave.
The wave.
No, we just backgrading,
That
you know, but
sounded-
eventually it settles down and it's not always perfect. You'll see like when we do a trench,
Mhm.
within 6 months or a year, we usually have to fill it again, even more because it settles down. It's not like this would help smooth the top layers out.
Okay, so this is after you do the trench, you would use this?
Right,
Okay.
we would compact it and then use that to kind of blend it in, so it's
Right.
not such a tripping hazard. If you ever walk across the green lawn, there's little divots here and there,
Right.
that's from different machinery going over, but, you know, sometimes when we trench a sewer, sprinkle line or something like that, it does settle after a while.
And then currently you use like a back grader, you said?
We just use like the bucket of the skid steer and just back plug it in a little bit as best we can, but it doesn't,
Like to smooth
it doesn't
out,
kill
yeah.
anything out, it just kind of just reinforces the ending of it.
And does any of this club or someone have that where we could use it if we needed it? I don't know how often we need things like this.
We've looked into this, but other municipalities are a little hesitant to leave things out because if, like, say we borrow something, we rent it, now we're out of it and they're out of it, so it's always become an issue.
What
Could
about
we
Lopez,
rent it?
what about Lopez if we need it?
It
I'm
has
just
to be
saying, I'm just
specific,
trying to
it
weigh
has
it
to be
out
specific to our
for
machine.
something that's gonna sit in the yard that's
Yeah.
gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
It's
it's a
broken,
valid
it's
question,
taken care of, so if we need it, we go rent it, and that's part of that project we did, you know, I'm just trying to, I'd rather have stuff that we're gonna use versus stuff that's gonna sit there for somebody else, and I take it home and we use it at the house or whatever, something else, cause I know that happens a lot, people
love to see
borrow stuff.
Love to see that. This
No,
one's
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying.
Yeah, not this.
No, I don't know, I don't know
No,
what it
it's a
is
great
exactly,
point,
I'm just saying, I thought the Great Lawn has covenants that we can't touch all that stuff on it.
Well, we can resurface.
We have to
the
maintain it.
We actually,
maintain it.
yeah.
I know, I'm just
maintain
asking questions because I don't know
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
We
No,
could
we're-
rent the equipment, but it's specific to the machine, so we would have to get the machine with it.
But I'm saying, is it a feasibility that we need it, for the once or twice a year we need it, how much does it cost to rent it? Is it?
And we've done that, yes, so we're about, for the machine and the attachment is about $700-$800 each day.
How often?
It depends, we've never owned one, so when we own it, we tend to use it more frequently than if we just had to rent this. When we have to rent something, I try to plan things out so we have it for 2 or 3 days rather than just, you know, oh, we see this issue. Like, I know right now the Great Lawn, where all the windmill construction, the entrance, just, it's terrible. This would be the tool we would use for that.
And
So
then
I guess
what's-
basically if, I mean, yeah, would buying it make dollars and cents, you know, basically, if we purchased it, are we gonna cover that price that we would have been spending in the buildings?
I can't say for Codling for sure, without a doubt, but I would imagine at that pricing, based on the $700 to $800 and you have to buy it, yeah, you'd probably recover that relatively quickly. You know,
You
You
could
did
use
fine.
it for other, like how many projects would you use it for in the upcoming year?
definitely the Great Lawns, that would take at least a couple days, you know, but you know, with doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And
And it would look nice.
that's one of the main parts, but then also the roadway shoulders, they're always needing to be restored. Especially if like a big snowstorm or something like that. When the plows scrape by, the blades do clip the edge, they'll
Yeah.
peel the grass up, and then we have to come in and we have to grade it out. So
Yeah.
it's not something that would never get used, it's just how often is really tough to say because it's interesting thing about DPW and Public Works in general is like, we don't need things until we need them. And in that moment, you know, it's very difficult to find things, especially if it's an urgent or emergency situation, but not necessarily that this qualifies as urgent or emergency, but
Would you consider renting out to other municipalities or not because of that reason?
we've tried this in Suffolk County and there was a $600,000 check that went down for about 7 months and that both municipalities were very, very unhappy about this.
Right. I think what has evolved or we've discussed is that not only do you rent the equipment, but you send the personnel along with it.
Yeah.
So it's your own operators.
Yeah.
And so then we're losing our staff to go do our staff and equipment
Right.
to go do somebody else's job, which we would like to try and do with the town for the vacuum truck, but
Yeah.
that's another
Yeah.
item. Right. So,
Well, that's, yes.
you know,
I don't know, I mean, I don't know
how many times have you rented this over the past
the gym.
2 or 3
The
years?
gym room we've never rented,
No, no, no,
we
I
just
know.
made one, but the power rake over the past
2 or 3 years, how
2,
many?
3 years, I don't, maybe months.
Maybe
Only
months.
because I don't wanna waste the time, you know, sometimes it's not the most necessary or important project. A lot of times when we have the attachment, I can just send a guy out for an hour or 2 to fix something and then come back and then jump and do another project. He's not always just gonna be doing this for the entire day.
Right.
So it's,
Like
we
the
do a
Great
lot of,
Lawn.
my guys do a lot of bouncing from one thing in the morning to another project, 2 hours later to another project, you know. 3 hours after that, so that's one of the issues we have.
Well, maybe just for now, renting it for the Great Lawn Project. Temporarily.
Because if we do more days, then we can get better
If there's
pricing
a
too.
need in the future, then we
Yeah,
can look
that's
into
fine.
buying it in the future.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Sounds good.
So,
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I'd like to see, but when you do get it, I want to look at it.
Yeah.
Let's see what this thing does.
Yeah.
What it does.
When we rent one
What about the guys that have a demo? Them come out and just say, hey, I'm thinking about buying this thing, why don't you come out, maybe let's demonstrate. No, but use other equipment places do that.
They do. For the big steel portion, they would, but the attachments, they don't usually do that because attachments are typically sold brand new. So it's the equipment they'll bring out and show you, hey, listen, we have this new equipment, we already have.
No, I'm just asking.
I can ask, I'll ask
I
around.
mean, I'm just thinking,
We might even be able to find a used one if we really need to, but.
Matt, look into, Tracy equipment.
Yeah.
Upstate.
Yep.
Usually you get really good deals.
Yeah, I just gotta make sure it's compatible to our system. Not that there's a tremendous amount of difference or variations in these systems, they're relatively universal, but.
if it's gonna be used, I don't mind having it, but it's just gonna sit there in a kind of pile of dirt, not been used, that gets abused, then no, you know, so. I mean, like I said, the first boom thing, no, that's not a big deal, put the things in there. But as far as this thing, maybe if you do the edges of the roadways, as you say, when people come along, they run on, they have snow plows, I know that people trash them. Just like the people who are complaining about along their property edges over there, which is so important, it's our area to maintain, if they go along and clean that up, you have a specialist, and that's just be prudent for us to do something like that, so.
There's no, talking about the Great Lawn, there's no irrigation, is there?
No.
Well, around the windmill.
Around the window, that's about
Just
it.
around, that was part of the windmill project, is to irrigate the planting.
Right, yeah, I drove by the other day, it was like, months day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kills the weeds too, natural weed killer.
But you don't have to mow it, so.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion on that one?
No.
Okay. Village Hall ductwork. Matt has a proposal to upgrade the ductwork. We've had issues with our HVAC system from the inception of the building. Being properly cooled, heated, returns, all that kind of stuff. The proposal is for $56,200 to upgrade all the ductwork, basically.
Just the return, the return ductwork. So currently, the way the building is designed, there was many more fans that were supposed to be put on auxiliary fans, like in the building conference room that was underneath the air flow. Those are very expensive. The real problem, and the way I looked at it over and over, is that there's only 2 central points of return air, and they're in wide open areas so that the area of the police department, that area never makes it all the way back above Maureen's desk over there is where the return is. By the time it has to go through 7 or 8 baffles, it's already grabbing and collecting air. That's in that wide open area right there. So the system gets as much air as it needs from that spot. So the air, his area, by Brad's office, they're never getting truly circulated throughout the system and processed. So we have drastic humidity level changes and drastic temperature differences.
Will this help the humidity level down in the court as well?
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Okay, because that was, I remember a few years ago, that was huge. I mean, to step on the floor and it was squished because of the humidity had gone into this carpet.
Yep.
We'll never get an argument on HVAC from it.
Yeah, right.
It's gonna be cold and it's.
So that, just on our side, Matt's indicated this can help the situation on our side with the different levels of temperature that we have. We have some offices that, in the winter you're walking in at 58 degrees, and then you walk up into dispatch and we're 76 degrees. So Matt seems to think this is gonna help even that out a little bit, so.
Maureen, gonna sit at her desk with the coat on, and Jen have a coat on, and who else?
Traditionally, yes, because we'd be able to balance it. So right now the system's trying to pull so much air, it's just to help that area up. Yeah.
Okay. I'll put this on the resolutions, for this meeting. Right? Ductwork for the HVAC system.
Yeah. This is off of county contract. their pricing comes off the entire county contract. Yeah, they have blanket commercial, instrumentation services, which is the company. They have like a blanket contract with Suffolk County because the different variations of buildings rather than putting bid out every single building. They just, and a lot of municipalities piggyback off that for that reason.
Thanks for asking.
Let's go around.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else on that? Okay. The next one is the Village Hall compressor replacement proposal. Dynair had an amount of $7,595. Local, they put in a proposal map, but I couldn't find an amount on it.
No, it's just the sheet.
It was just a sheet.
Never.
Compressor, HVAC.
They did come in cheaper. I thought that was impressive. That is not.
You're gonna need more than one.
For the, right. Yeah, so we have multiple kinds, multiple things for that. I'll send it out to you with the two updated ones, because even Dynair said they have to clarify our own theirs.
Here's the Dynair. There's no probability.
Oh, yeah, you think I'm pressing on it? Alright, let me get you an update for that, just to make sure that the numbers they quoted me were the right ones. That should have the name. Unless it was the second page that got left out. I'll send you two updated quotes, yep.
Next thing, Turkey Bridge is being put out to bid for repairs. I think I emailed everybody about the concept of closing down the bridge for the off-season as opposed to one half and the other half, and the project would go for more than a season, then that would be a nightmare. I think we all agreed on that. The other thing that's happened subsequently to that is that we are approached by apparently one of the companies that's bidding on the Turkey Bridge project. And they wanna know how much for them to dock a 24-foot boat at our marina for September, probably 2 months for this project. So they're gonna include this price in their bid package to the county. So I see two options. First of all, it's off-season, I don't think it's a problem for a 24-foot boat to go in our marina. As far as charging them goes, right now, we have two different rates. One is the seasonal rate, and that's for people that stay out, residents just keep their boat in their whole season. And then we have the transient rate, which is the people that come and visit us for a few days or a week or whatever. So if we charge weekly, transient rate would amount to $552 a week. And if we charge the seasonal rate, it's $68 a week. So
How long do they think they'll use?
probably 1 or 2 months. And it may go into the winter. In my mind, this is essentially a governmental agency, Suffolk County, paying us to use our boats. So it's a taxable entity paying another taxable entity, and so we should be accommodating as much as we can, in my mind. I don't know if $68 a week is too accommodating, as opposed to $552, but whatever we do, if we get another inquiry from another company, I wanna have the same proposal to them, so we don't skew the bid,
I should ask the county if they have an allowance built into their contract, because then at that point it's a separate line item, because
This is apparently, this is a subcontractor of a contractor.
Right.
So,
I just don't wanna, I'd hate to give them a great deal and they're still keeping that bid price price up and charging the county X amount of dollars, so
And we're just getting.
it would be nice if they had a line item or something in the county. We could ask the county to have a line item or allowance for this specific item.
See, I didn't wanna get into needs and methods with a bidder,
Right.
because guess what, in my mind,
Yeah.
they don't need a full slip, just
Right.
dock it at the bridge.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're thinking.
And it's like
So-
a barge type thing?
It's a 24-foot workboat, which is relatively, it looks like basically a work version of a Boston trailer.
That's what I was picturing, okay.
Yeah.
The transient rate is inflated to disincentivize people from just taking up the transients. So like to charge them a transient, it seems outrageous.
Use an existing rate that we charge, it's.
But it's like, so like no one
That's it.
clogs up this slot for the season.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
That's for the season, right? That's for like the summer.
that's what I was saying, yeah.
The seasonal rate is for the entire season, April 15th and November 15th.
And the transient
And the
rate
trade
is,
rate is a daily rate, $3 a foot on weekdays, $4 a foot on weekends, basically. So I had 5 days of the weekday and 2 days of the weekend rate, and combined them for a weekly rate. Okay, and I will inquire, like Matt said, to see if they have a line item.
If they have a line item, it'd be better this way.
Because if they're charging the county $700 a day or a week, whatever it is, and we're giving them a deal thinking we're taking care of the county, and they're just really
that's a good point.
pocketing that.
So $250 a week,
Unless there's a line item.
unless they're line, and check line item with the county. Okay, I can do that. Okay. Next thing. Oh, Suffolk County work. I did wanna, I already shared with the other group from Percy Street about the, Montauk Highway, Old Riverhead Road. They're slating that for 27 bid, 28 work, whereas Turkey Bridge is 25 bid, 26 is the work. So that's the tentative calendar for those two projects. Pine Street, we took care of, Main Street landscaping. Chris, you wanted to talk about that? You mentioned that you just wanna.
Marcus wanted to talk to it.
Yeah.
I know it was something that previous board and you had started talking about, setting up a conservancy. So I know we can maybe continue that conversation, but I don't know enough about how conservancy works to speak to it. So
To me, it's, well, to have it be perpetual, it's very difficult. The conservancy is basically somebody that takes care of the Main Street landscaping and funds it. And it would be, I don't know legally how you set it up. And
It's well known that New York City's got a whole bunch of them. There's a park conservancy for Riverside Park, for Central Park, for Prospect Park. But I have no idea, never done it. They've been around for a while. They're separate charities.
Yeah, I don't think it's not the municipality.
No, but they're, like I think that they're, I don't even know what kind of a, agreement they have with the city.
I think
They're separate entities.
I've got an impression it has to do with a lot of trusts that support the conservancy, and it's like very complicated, but it is ongoing, and it does happen. But I think it's intended for larger entities rather than a small village, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's, Main Street is kind of, got a lot of time and money and effort put into it, and I recognize that it's a lot of work to maintain, but I think it's equally important not to let it go to crap, because it's kind of like, it's our calling card. I mean, Main Street should look a certain way, and to say that it's just to maintain it benefits by this. To maintain it poorly and like we don't have the means to maintain it properly should not be the reason not to maintain it. So, you know, if it's a matter of tabling this to the next work session where I can get more information and people that can speak to it, yeah, I'd like to do that because
It's not an immediate, I mean, I don't think we'll have an immediate answer, and yes, we can.
yeah, like
I'm not sure that you can set up the conservancy.
I know, like if there's public interest, yeah, no,
Well, what do we do with the roundabouts?
Oh, that's a very generous landscaper that maintains those for us in the roundabouts.
We'll figure it out, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's,
What we're admittedly in the original design of some of the landscaping, it was intricate, Palo Alto parking lot in particular, and we scaled back some of the gardens because there's just too many gardens all over the place to maintain. So we scaled them back and turned it into just a grass that you mow, which is much easier to maintain. And yes, you have a few gardens and plantings, but it's not as significant or there was a multitude of little gardens back along the canal.
but they do look nice
Yeah.
though, so I don't want
So there's a balancing act between what you can maintain properly and how effusive or expansive the landscaping is. It's a balancing act, you know. It's an expensive thing to keep up properly, but it should be kept up properly. So we have to come up with the,
And also, do we need, like, is it a lack of staff or, because I mean, even weeding, anybody can do it, the kids can do it.
Yeah.
But it does take time, and some things are not weeds, they're flowers. So, there is, something to it, but, do we not have enough people or, like, cause it is a seasonal thing too, like
Right.
during the summer, I think also like Chris was saying is, we want it to look nice if any time
Of course.
now.
Right.
But-
And there's, staffing is always ultimately the answer,
Yeah.
That's what it always comes down to. Just to give some perspective, Main Street prior to being redone had, 60 trees or 46, somewhere in there, amount of trees, and that was the only square little boxes around them
Right.
that were on Main Street.
Right.
When we redeveloped it, we added all those planted areas combined, equates over 2 acres. So that's something on their hands and knees going through 2 acres. I mean, even if you put 1 or 2 guys down there, by the time they got to the end, they'd have to come back to it. You're talking weeks and weeks of manpower.
That's what I'm asking is like how long does it take and the keep up, like is it a once a week thing by one guy for one whole day, 2 guys, like what is the maintenance of that?
if we were able to be on top of it.
Right.
Right.
Is
Like what would
it maybe less involved?
It is, but to a certain, the problem is we don't have professional landscapers. A professional landscaper in this crew are gonna come in and be able to work through those beds a lot faster than my guy who I need to change light bulbs, I need him to do switches, I need to fill potholes. So the guys are bouncing around all the time. If we have sidewalks that become a tripping hazard, I have to stop everything, and those become the priority, as if you saw on Sunset. That shut me down for almost a week and a half just doing those sidewalks, We're not really experts in any specific thing, we're just kind of just fix it as it comes along. So one of the issues that we saw with the landscaping was, I might have a guy who's good at it today, but then tomorrow I need him to go, wire in a streetlight or, anything, pick up bury a dead animal that's on the beach or, garbage that's strewn across the park or something. So it's, not only is it a staffing level issue, it's the type of person, Yes, anybody could weed, but at the same point, you could also kill a tremendous amount of plants weeding too, so.
Does it make sense to hire someone who is like, who would be part of DPW but is a landscaper or has worked for a landscaper?
That if we were to go that route, that's what I would look to hire and bring that person or persons in, that's more of a landscaper. That, that their background has landscaping in it.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure we could teach him it out.
And I think there are.
kind of have Andrew, he's very good and very proud of the village, and he does oversee the guys to a degree, but there's only one end.
and he also
But if
is,
you did have, there are plenty of local landscapers who care
Right.
what the village looks like, who are willing
course.
to consult or give advice, or, you know, if you were able to hire one or two people that were just gonna be, you know, your landscaping division, you know, you have some landscapers who would be like, you know, all right, you know, Tom, Bill, like, this is how you're gonna trim this tree, this is what you, so, yeah, I think there's plenty of avenues to
Most
it.
public works have separate divisions, they have a grounds crew, a building crew, and a maintenance crew. Here, we are much smaller, you know, the average public works part of their own, for the east end anyway, average is about 23, we have 12. So,
Maybe that's something else to consider.
that might be one of the, you know, in my opinion, that's probably the biggest issue. Because if I just had guys that just take grounds, yes, I could train them, I could make sure that they're doing that responsibly, and I can hold them accountable. When I'm asking a guy to go there for an hour in the morning to weed, yeah, I can, you know, stay on top of them, you know, hey, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, and then 20 minutes later, I need him, you know, changing light bulbs or switching the room around or something like that, so it's, people think we're like ignorant to it, but it's really not that. It's just that it is a very complicated issue. We didn't hire anybody since adding Main Street. And a few, actually, I think we did hire one actual additional position for vacancy, but we've lost more in place since then, so.
And we have 12 now total.
Right. Including, I am 12 person, so.
And there are-
So Lee's, yeah, and then you take the two mechanics out. Before you know it, you really start putting it
certain
down.
areas with a certain intensity and mulch, and then that decreases the maintenance on it. I mean, there are, landscaping, I mean, to have a huge area of just open mulch, that's more intense to take care of because you have to constantly weed it. So there are balancing things there, so it's, yeah, ongoing. Okay. All right. Synagogue candle lighting service, I apologize. Misinterpreted, things earlier. Synagogue lighting candle service happens every year. It's at the marina. It's for a couple of hours, and it's we've approved it every year, and that hasn't been an issue. So I'll just put a resolution on approving that, to approve that. And that's September 23rd. Suffolk County revenue sharing, we received a check the other day for $155,751 for the revenue sharing. And I mistakenly gave a great deal of credit to the chief, and Denise said, "What do you mean? I filled all the paperwork." So, thank you, Denise, even here. And
She's not here to defend herself.
thank you, chief, and it will go to.
I supported
I supported what it wanted. So I just wanted to point that out, that went well. In some respects, okay? And then the last item on the list is a new item, we just received the application. The Historical Society is having an event on the 20th of September on their campus. And they want me to sign an open container, a waiver of our open container, state local authority. They will have a fenced in area, and I did point out to them that they're supposed to have security, so people do not walk off the premises with an open container. So I don't see the Historical Society being too rowdy a crowd necessarily. He's
They are painted.
So if there aren't any objections, I'll put the resolution on for you to authorize me to sign that.
Yes.
September 20th.
They bring the muskets. They got a prop.
So at this point, thank you everybody for sticking around for a lengthy meeting. We do have, I would like to have an executive session that has now 2 items on it. It's a contractual litigation, so I need a motion to go in executive session. Second. Okay, we'll go into executive session, the regular meeting ended at 7:00. executive session. Thank you, everyone.